invoices, bank transfers. All authenticated. Rafid's face went ashen. That's not true. You can't prove that. I can, Arif said softly. I designed the scheme. I just let you execute it. Every clever idea you had to skim from the top was a seed I planted. You were my puppet, Rafid. Your greed made you predictable. He then turned to Sohana, whose confusion was now eclipsed by a dawning, terrifying understanding. And you, Sohana. You believe you're leaving me for a successful, powerful man. But by this time next week, he will be unemployed, unemployable, and likely facing charges. The life you think you're running to is a phantom. It doesn't exist. The ground had vanished beneath Sohana. It wasn't just the affair that was exposed, it was her entire judgment, her perception of reality, that lay in ruins. She hadn't been playing a dangerous game, she had been a mouse in a labyrinth designed by her husband. The man she had pitted for his dullness was a master architect of ruin. The fear was no longer of being caught, but of the man she had shared a bed with for 5 years. He hadn't just beaten them, he had rewritten the past to ensure their future was a wasteland. And for Rafid, the charming facade shattered completely, revealing raw, animal panic. He wasn't facing a cuckolded husband, he was facing his own financial and professional annihilation, orchestrated by the very man he'd mocked. He began to plead, but the words died in his throat as he met Arif's gaze, utterly devoid of anger, filled only with the cold finality of a concluded business transaction. Arif watched them crumble, and he felt nothing but a profound, sterile quiet. This was the peak of his strategy. He hadn't just revealed her betrayal, he had systematically destroyed the alternative she was betraying him for. He had proven, irrevocably, that the world she desired was a fiction he had allowed her to believe in. His victory was absolute. Arif didn't wait for a response. He turned and walked out of the room, leaving the silence to swallow them whole. He drove back to Dhaka alone, the city lights bleeding into the night. He returned to their Gulshan apartment. It was no longer a place of shared memories, but a command center where he had won his war. He lighted a cigarette and stood by the window. His phone buzzed. A single notification from an encrypted cloud drive. Project, Veritas, complete. All assets secured. A slow, faint smile touched his lips. This was the true victory the original ending missed. It wasn't about them feeling guilty or scared. It was about him demonstrating his absolute, unassailable control. He had not only predicted their every move, he had authored them. He looked at his reflection in a dark glass. The man staring back was not the betrayed husband of 5 years ago. He was something sharper, colder, and infinitely more powerful. The fortress of his marriage was gone, but in its place, he had built something far more resilient, an impenetrable fortress of self, built on the ruins of their lies. And from this new citadel, he felt, for the first time in a year, perfectly, utterly at peace. The end.